The Hyde MudGun is designed to make drywall jobs fast and easy for anyone to accomplish. This video will help you achieve a more professional finish with your MudGun and do it with less sanding and much less mess. Instead of this, you'll be doing this: neat and controlled application using different attachments depending on the job. The MudGun works almost like a caulk gun. It holds mud here in the body of the tool. That gives you a fast and efficient way to apply compound to the wall by pulling the gun over the joint with firm pressure while pumping the trigger. There are two different MudGun models. The main difference between them is the way the mud is loaded. The MudGun Small Repairs is designed to work only with mud packs. These pre-packaged mud tubes are sheer genius, making mud application quick and easy and eliminating the need to open a tub of mud for every repair. To load the mud pack, remove the front ring and hold the gun by the handle. Depress the brake with your thumb and pull the plunger rod all the way out. Once the rod is extended, insert the mud pack into the mud tube and cut the end of the tube. Add the nozzle you intend to use, replace the front ring, and you're ready to go. This model is excellent for making small repairs after plumbing jobs or minor wall damage. The MudGun Pro is exactly like the MudGun Small Repairs and also accepts mud packs, except the Pro model can also be loaded directly from a 5-gallon or 18-liter bucket. This gives pros and do-it-yourselfers a very efficient mud delivery system for larger jobs. To bulk load a MudGun Pro, hold the bucket with your feet and mix the compound to a pudding-like consistency. Place the loading ring with its pull ring facing up and push down evenly until mud comes up through the opening. Place the MudGun over the loading ring and, with your thumb on the brake, fully extend the plunger rod. Keep downward pressure on the gun as you do this to be sure the gun fully loads. Once it's loaded, turn the MudGun up quickly to keep mud from falling out. Insert the flat nozzle through the front ring, replace the ring on the gun, and you're ready to begin. If you bought the MudGun Small Repairs and later find yourself doing larger jobs, we recommend that you buy a conversion kit. This kit will convert your Small Repairs model to a Pro, so that you can load from buckets. In your MudGun kit is a full instruction guide. It's important to read all instructions for the model you purchased before beginning your project. Pay special attention to the tips and the "you will also need" section. These will help you avoid common issues and having to stop in the middle of a project because you forgot something. The Pro model also has a full room guide, which will help you plan your job efficiently and avoid common issues. Whether you're doing small repairs or a large drywall installation, the step-by-step process for taping and finishing is included in your instruction book. Please follow it carefully. This video is not intended to replace those detailed instructions. Taping joints is the first step in finishing drywall. For this, we recommend using pre-scored paper tape. You can also use self-adhesive fiberglass mesh, in which case you can eliminate the embedding steps shown next. Always begin your job by checking the entire area for problems, such as screws not embedded properly, large gaps that need to be filled first, and seams that aren't level. Fixing these problems before you tape is always easier and will leave you a better finish. Screw holes should be coated with at least 2 coats, in 2 different directions, to ensure they don't show when the wall is painted. Taping is a messy part of drywall, so as you tape, keep a wet rag and an extra bucket of water handy to catch excess mud as you work. For those who are new to drywall, it's important to know there are 3 kinds of joints. Taper joints, where you have 2 tapered or manufactured edges side by side, butt joints, where the cut edges of 2 drywall pieces come together, and corner joints, where 2 walls meet or the wall meets the ceiling. If you're taping complex repairs or full rooms, it's best that you tape and finish joints in this order. For taper and butt joints, you'll be using the flat joint nozzle. Starting at one end of your first taper joint, pull the nozzle down or across the full length of the joint, pumping the trigger to apply a generous coat of mud. Be sure to release the brake each time you stop to avoid pumping out excess mud. If you have adjoining seams, overlap them to ensure full coverage at the corner. When you're done with all taper joints, rest your MudGun in a bucket with the nozzle submerged in about 4 inches of water until you need it again. No cleaning of the gun is necessary at this point. Once the mud is applied, cut drywall tape to the correct length and press the rough side into the mud. Do not overlap at the corners. Holding the tape in place with your finger, use your joint knife to smooth and firmly seat the tape, squeezing excess mud out from under the tape and reapplying the extra mud over the tape as a thin first coat. Make sure to embed the entire joint in one direction. Next, you'll use that same embedding process for your butt joints. For corner joints, use the corner nozzle to apply mud to the inside corners. Then crease the paper tape, push it into the corner, and use your corner tool to remove excess mud. Leave a very thin layer of mud on the top of the tape. Let your joints dry completely, which could take 24 hours or more depending on the humidity. For this stage, you'll need the finishing head. First, replace the front ring with the T adapter. Then snap the finishing head onto the T adapter. To begin, pull the trigger until you see drywall mud emerge. As you pump mud out for the first time, use your joint knife to spread it across the length of the finishing head. While the MudGun does handle as simply as a caulk gun, it is actually an engineered system, and it's this stage where the tool can really improve the quality of your work. Remember the 3 types of joints we discussed? Well, each type presents different challenges in finishing. Taper joints, for example, are the easiest to get right because they have a low profile. Once you fill the taper, these joints lie flat with your wall, so your seam repair or coverage should be undetectable. When you cover butt and corner joints, however, you're basically adding a crown or raised area to a surface that was flat when you started. The goal with these joints is to cover them with a minimum crown effect. Too much mud over a joint increases the amount of sanding required and is the #1 sign of a bad finishing job. The MudGun finishing head will help you avoid this flaw. Built into the head is a slide adjuster that matches the curve of the smoothing pad to the curve of your joint. The lower the setting, the flatter the surface. The higher the setting, the larger the crown. You'll be using this MudGun feature to create a more consistent, professional finish as you feather your butt joints. Feathering means extending the joint coverage so the joint appears flat when looking down the wall. This is done in 3 steps. Set the finishing head on one, and using the skid pad as a center guide, run a coat of compound down one side of the joint. Remember to use firm pressure when laying the mud, and to release the brake between each step. Keep a putty knife handy to remove excess mud trails and clumps. When mud builds up on the skid pad, clean it off with a rag. Do the same on the other side, being careful not to mar the first coat. Then let them dry completely. There is no need to dismantle and clean the MudGun at this point. Store your MudGun in the bucket with the finishing head submerged in 4 inches of water. Before step 3, shake any excess water out of the finishing head. Then set the adjuster on 0 and run a coat of mud down the center of the joint while pressing firmly to fill in the channel. Use firm pressure when applying mud so that as little compound as possible is left on the wall for sanding. Remember that you can release the brake at any time to stop the flow of compound and slide the head back over the joint until it's smooth. If you are finishing a joint where 2 walls meet, place the finishing head 2 inches from the corner and push the head into the corner. Then, as you pump, drag the head back along the entire joint. This should prevent excess compound from building up in the corner. If there is still too much, use your taping knife to remove it or wait until it's dry and sand it. For corner joints, we recommend feathering the joint using the finishing head to give the wall a flat look. See the Guide to Taping and Finishing an Entire Room for all the steps. It is available on our website and in your kit. The MudGun has a diaphragm system that provides an even flow of mud to the joint, but you may still get a wavy pattern at times. This is not a problem. Just release the brake to stop the flow and, starting at one side of the joint, push the tool firmly into the mud and slide it again across the entire seam. Repeat until the finish is smooth. Sometimes, when smoothing a joint, excess compound will build up under the finishing head. Use a taping knife to remove it and scrape it into your bucket of water. If you see tiny bubbles in the mud, these must be sanded off before painting or they will show. To eliminate micro bubbles, add a little more water to the compound in your bucket and mix it well. Mud packs should not present this issue, as they are pre-mixed to the correct consistency for the MudGun. Another important tip: always prime the finished drywall before painting. Finally, a note about butt joints. Butt joints take 4 applications of mud to get a truly flat joint. They can be done by setting the finishing head on 0 and doing only 1 pass, but that is only recommended if you are in a low-light area or don't care if the finish isn't perfect. Remember, drywall finishing takes time, and 95% of the work is waiting for the mud to completely dry. If you move on to the next step too early, You will damage the finish on the work you've already done. For guidance with all steps, see our Guide to Taping and Finishing an Entire Room, which is available on our website and in your kit. Whether you're a DIYer or professional, mastering the Hyde MudGun will help you apply drywall compound much more smoothly and finish walls with a minimum of sanding. If you do need to sand, we suggest using a Hyde dust-free sander to virtually eliminate any cleanup after sanding. If you have questions as you get started, we'll be happy to help. Contact Hyde Tools at any time at the address shown on your screen.